Hello everybody. Today we're diving into the first part of our three-part series on supplements and their role in training, running, and longevity. Our focus today is on building a strong foundation for a longer, healthier life and enhancing metabolic efficiency. We're going to explore 4 key supplements: omega-3 fatty acids, Coenzyme Q10, Alpha-Lipoic Acid, and Trimethylglycine. Let's break down how each of these supports your health span and performance, not just your lifespan. But before we dive in, I want to clear something up, because I know the word longevity gets thrown around a lot these days, and it's easy to misunderstand what we're really talking about here. Longevity doesn't mean living forever. It doesn't mean hacking your body into some kind of ageless, bionic machine. And it definitely doesn't promise a limitless life. When I talk about longevity, or more specifically health span, I'm not talking about just adding years to your life. I'm talking about adding life to your years. Here's the difference in simple terms. Lifespan is how long you live. Health span is how long you stay healthy, capable, and independent during that lifespan. Some people live until they die. They're active, sharp, and mobile right up to the end. Others die long before they stop breathing. They lose function, vitality, and autonomy years, sometimes decades, before their heart stops beating. I don't want that. And I don't think you do either. I'd rather live until I die than die until I'm no longer living. That's the lens I'm using in this series. I may hit bad luck. You might too. But I believe we can stack the deck in favor of staying strong, mobile, and present for as long as we possibly can. That's what longevity means to me. That's what we're building here, one smart choice at a time. There's a moment in every runner's journey, especially after 40, when you feel the shift. It's not always dramatic. Maybe it's a slower bounce back from a long run. Maybe it's just that nagging knee that's been whispering for years and finally decides to start shouting. Whatever the signal, you realize longevity matters now more than ever. Not just the ability to keep running, but the ability to feel strong, clear, and metabolically sharp while doing it. And that's where cellular resilience becomes the name of the game. We're not just talking about running longer. We're talking about running better, aging slower, and supporting the kind of vibrant life that makes this sport worth doing into our 60s, 70s, and even 80s. But it starts at the cellular level, right down in the mitochondria, in the inflammation pathways, in the genes flicking switches on or off, depending on the signals they get from your environment. Let's start with omega-3s, specifically EPA and DHA. These are not optional nutrients. They're foundational. And if you're getting older and training consistently, they might be the single most impactful supplement you can add to your routine. EPA and DHA are primarily found in cold water fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel. But even if you eat fish a couple times a week, odds are you're still not getting optimal amounts. Why do they matter so much? Let's start with your heart. Every beat pumps life through your body, and over time your cardiovascular system takes a hit, from age, from training stress, from inflammation. Omega-3s have been shown again and again to reduce triglycerides, lower blood pressure, and even reduce the risk of sudden cardiac death. A 2019 study published in Scientific Reports found that higher levels of omega-3s were associated with significantly lower markers of inflammation in individuals with metabolic disorders. That means these fats help quiet the kind of chronic inflammation that slowly corrodes vascular health over time. But the dosage matters, and I know some of you are already writing comments about this, and rightly so. There's emerging evidence showing that beyond a certain threshold, omega-3s may actually increase the risk of atrial fibrillation or other cardiovascular complications. A 2021 meta-analysis in Circulation flagged that high-dose EPA and DHA, usually above 4 grams per day, was associated with a slight but statistically significant uptick in AFib risk. That doesn't mean omega-3s are dangerous. It means taking more doesn't always lead to better results. So where's the sweet spot? For most people, somewhere between 1 to 2 grams total of combined EPA and DHA per day seems to offer the anti-inflammatory and cardioprotective benefits without tipping into risk territory. And always talk to your doctor. If you're combining high-dose omega-3s with blood thinners, or have pre-existing heart conditions, context matters. When it comes to form and timing, look for triglyceride form fish oil rather than ethyl esters for better absorption. Take it with a meal that contains fat to improve uptake. And if you're getting those fishy burps, try a freezer-stored or enteric-coated version. Often, taking it with dinner helps too. Now let's talk about the brain, because this is where omega-3s may be even more critical. DHA, in particular, is a structural fat in the brain. It helps with membrane fluidity, neurotransmitter function, and even supports the growth of new brain cells. A comprehensive review in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience concluded that omega-3 supplementation in older adults helped preserve memory, learning ability, and mood. That's especially critical as cognitive decline becomes a real concern. Not inevitable, but real, and something we can now actively defend against. And from a performance standpoint, omega-3s are anti-inflammatory by nature. They help modulate pro-inflammatory cytokines, reduce muscle soreness, and support faster recovery. That's a big deal if you're stacking tempo runs, long runs, and strength work in a tight weekly schedule. You bounce back faster, and you bounce back cleaner, without cellular debris dragging you down into the next session. Let's move on to Coenzyme Q10, specifically in its active form, Ubiquinol. Think of this as the matchstick that lights your metabolic fire. CoQ10 is essential for mitochondrial ATP production. No CoQ10, no energy. It's that simple. Here's the thing. Your body makes less of it as you age. By the time you're in your 50s, CoQ10 production can drop by as much as 50%. That's not just something you feel as general fatigue. It's something your cells experience as an energy bottleneck. A 2024 study in BMC cardiovascular disorders found that CoQ10 supplementation significantly improved heart contractility in patients with mild cardiac dysfunction. That means your heart beats more efficiently, delivers more oxygen, and works less hard to do the same job. That's endurance gold. But CoQ10 isn't just about energy. It's one of the few antioxidants that works inside the mitochondria, cleaning up the mess made during ATP production. For runners, especially those over 40 doing higher mileage or intensity, that kind of cleanup matters. It reduces oxidative stress, preserves mitochondrial function, and helps protect your muscle tissue and DNA from wear and tear. For dosing, aim for 100 to 200 milligrams per day of ubiquinol, not ubiquinone. If you're on statins or over 50, stick closer to the upper end, and always take it with a fat-containing meal, ideally in the morning or at lunch. Some people find CoQ10 slightly stimulating, so taking it too late in the day could interfere with sleep. Next up is Alpha-Lipoic Acid, or ALA. This one's an unsung hero, quiet but powerful. It's unique because it works in both fat and water-based environments, meaning it can go anywhere in your body, and it's one of the only antioxidants that recycles other antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin E, and glutathione. What makes ALA so compelling for longevity-focused runners is its effect on insulin sensitivity. As we age, our metabolic flexibility tends to slip. That doesn't always show up on blood work. It shows up in unstable energy levels, poor glycogen replenishment, or inconsistent recovery. ALA has been shown to enhance glucose uptake in muscle, especially in insulin-resistant individuals. A study in the American Journal of Medicine using intravenous ALA showed significant improvements, and while oral studies show milder effects, they're still promising, especially when you stack ALA with exercise. Beyond that, ALA supports the health of your endothelial lining, the part of your blood vessels that controls oxygen delivery. That's a huge performance edge in endurance sports. The ideal dose is 300 to 600 milligrams per day, using the RALA form for better bioavailability. If you're using standard ALA, you may need closer to 600 to 1,200 milligrams. Take it on an empty stomach, ideally 30 minutes before meals, and split into 2 doses if using the higher range. And finally, there's TMG, Trimethylglycine, also known as betaine. It doesn't get a lot of spotlight, but it's one of the most fundamental players in methylation, detoxification, and cardiovascular protection. TMG helps convert homocysteine, an inflammatory amino acid, into methionine, a useful building block. Elevated homocysteine has been linked to everything from cardiovascular disease to cognitive decline, and TMG is one of the most reliable compounds we have to manage it. A 2021 review in Nutrients explained how TMG supplementation restored proper methylation cycles in both healthy adults and those under high stress. TMG may also offer performance benefits. Some endurance athletes report better hydration and reduced perceived exertion, especially in heat or intense sessions. The research is still early, but it's promising. Start with 1 to 3 grams daily, with 2.5 grams being the sweet spot in most studies. You can take it all at once or split it. Some athletes like using it before hard efforts for the hydration edge. So how do you actually build this stack? Especially if you're on a budget. If you're just getting started, don't feel like you have to go all in at once. I usually suggest starting with omega-3s. They cover the most ground: heart, brain, inflammation, recovery. That's your foundation. Once that's in place, CoQ10 is a smart next step, especially if you're over 45 or doing high mileage work. Then bring in ALA if you're noticing inconsistent energy or recovery. And finally, round it out with TMG to support the deeper cellular functions that don't always show up right away, but really matter over time. And no matter where you start, prioritize quality over quantity. 1 high-purity omega-3 will do more for your body than 4 cheap bottles combined. Speaking personally, I've been using this full stack for about 3 years. The biggest change I noticed? Recovery. Before, a hard Saturday long run left me foggy and stiff well into Monday. Now I'm recovering smoother, stacking workouts back to back, and seeing more consistent gains. That kind of momentum doesn't just feel good, it accelerates progress. So let me hear it. Are you already using any of these? Do you feel a difference? Or are you still skeptical and waiting for more data? I welcome all of it. Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments. This community is built on truth, not trends. And if this kind of content helps you, subscribe and get ready for part 2, the Endurance Edge. We're shifting gears into performance mode, covering supplements that boost blood flow, blunt fatigue, and supercharge recovery. We're talking about citrulline malate, rhodiola, rosea, taurine, and astaxanthin, all science-backed, all geared toward helping you train harder and recover cleaner. Until then, run smart, run long, and stay focused.